Welcome to Moving Forward with my co-host,
Karen Casino.
And myself, Ryan White. We have with us today, Rebecca Medina. She is a family law attorney with the law offices of Rebecca Medina. She is here to talk about mediation. Rebecca, what's mediation?
Mediation, at its basic level, is where you have a neutral third party, the mediator, facilitating communication and negotiations between a couple, helping the couple to identify what their interests are, what their needs are, what's important to them in the divorce, so they can negotiate and reach a agreement that works for both of them and creates a win-win solution for them both.
So how can mediation be used in family law?
Mediation can be used in family law if a couple is just separating, so a legal separation. If they're divorcing, it can be used for a premarital agreement. So if a couple is to be married and is trying to figure out what their financial future is going to look like, they can go to a mediator to help them negotiate the terms of a premarital agreement. It can also be used for a post-nuptial agreement, so after they're married, if they're trying to change some things regarding their estate, their property, they can do that in mediation as well. Mediation can also be used if a family already has an order and maybe they need to make some changes to that order. Maybe their financial situation has changed. Maybe it's regarding a parenting plan and the kids have gotten older and their needs have changed. So it can be used to modify orders as well.
So how does the attorney situation work out? Is there one attorney that does both, or does each person have their own attorney?
Well, a mediator attorney is a neutral between the couple. So it's not the neutral mediator attorney is not representing either spouse. The couple can have what's called a mediation-friendly consulting attorney, and that person can help give them legal advice. A mediation-friendly consulting attorney is recommended versus, for instance, a litigating attorney, because a mediation-friendly consulting attorney is going to have experience in conflict resolution, so is going to understand the mediation process and their language, their tone, their advice is going to be consistent with the mediation process, which is designed to reduce conflict and keep a couple outside of court. They can have their own attorney at any stage of the proceeding. So in the beginning of mediation, in the middle, most commonly I see that a couple will, each spouse can retain their own. I most commonly see that they retain a consulting attorney at the end, which is when they're going to review the final agreement. But it can be at any stage, and they can have as little or as much involvement as they're comfortable with.
So do both parties have to agree to go to mediation?
Yes, both parties have to agree to go to mediation. It's a voluntary process. So they have to, commit to the process and participate and cooperate in the process. So it does require both of their cooperation, agreement, and involvement.
So what if my spouse and I just simply don't get along? We can't be in the same room together. We just don't get along at all. Mm-hmm. Does mediation process have a chance at working?
It does. So again, mediation is a process designed to reduce the conflict. So the mediator can assist the couple by creating, a mission statement where they're figuring out what their highest intentions and values are for the process. structuring the mediation in a way where the couple, they can communicate openly in a very respectful and safe place. If they don't get along, sometimes outside resources can be used, like a divorce or a communication coach. And that can, a couple of sessions with that person, that professional might help them as well, especially if there's children involved. So there's a lot of tools that can be used, even if they don't get along. And sometimes mediation is a lot better because it really is designed to get to the root of the conflict and help them to communicate. Whereas, another process like traditional litigation, if they don't get along sometimes because there isn't an emphasis on containing that conflict or helping them to manage the conflict, it can often get worse.
So what happens, the two parties agree to go to mediation, what happens next?
What happens after they agree to go to mediation is they would meet, for instance, with me, the mediator, and I would go through the process with them. I would talk to them about, the confidentiality aspect of mediation, how mediation is structured, the forms that need to be completed as part of the divorce process. So I would meet with them and then walk them through the process and set meetings throughout the mediation process. So that way, at the first appointment, they're very clear on what needs to be done, and then we just get started and move forward in the proceeding.
Well, I realize this is kind of a loaded question because I'm sure there's differing amounts of time, but what is the general time that this might take to go through a mediation process?
It can be as quickly as the couple is motivated. So mediation itself can be done in 30 days, depending upon the complexity involved. In terms of California law, there's paperwork that needs to be done, service requirements. So a judge can't technically enter or sign off on the judgment until it's been at least 6 months and 1 day since service was completed. But in terms of how long it takes for them to reach a full agreement, it depends on the complexity of the topics to be discussed, the level of conflict, and how motivated they are. On average, I would say mediation typically takes anywhere from about 6 to 9 months. There's times where it can take, less than that, and there's times where it can take more than that. Complexities that could arise that, it could take more is if they just need a little bit more time to process. Maybe there's outside circumstances in their life that's going on in which, they're not going to rush and they just want to take their time. Maybe there's multiple businesses, multiple properties. Maybe there's, complexities regarding the finances. So that's going to take longer. But if it's, more simple and straightforward, it can take less time. So it really just depends upon the couple, and each family is different.
Well, that's mediation. Rebecca Medina, family law attorney with the law offices of Rebecca Medina. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.